You're listening
You're listening
to another episode
of the FreshTakes
podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to another episode of the Fresh Takes podcast. I am your host, Tim, alongside my two favorite co-hosts, Tank and Pat.
What's up?
Boy, do we have a doozy of games that happened this week, including 2 overtime games, Tank's favorites.
Believe it or not, I actually want to talk about one of the overtime games.
I actually do too, because I have a question that will lead into the overtime game, lead out of the overtime game. So
All right.
We'll just go ahead and jump right into it and talk about it. Eagles versus Commanders, 31-34, overtime. Jake Elliott, 54-yard field goal.
You gotta love Jake Elliott. And also, I had full expectations we might lose that game before it started. Like it's a typical shouldn't lose it, but
just like last week when we lost to the Cardinals.
Yeah, it's like and especially this because it's a divisional game. Like NFC South bounce. It's always.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wasn't it last year? Y'all were what 8-0, 9-0, and y'all lost to Washington last year.
That's we picked this year that you guys would be like 9-0, and your second time facing them, you'll lose it. So
yeah, but I forgot for some reason Washington plays us better in Philadelphia.
I mean, honestly, I got to give credit to where it's due. I mean, besides the Giants, I feel that all NFC East teams play each other balls to the wall. I mean, I'm not saying the divisions don't, but I just feel that NFC East.
Whoa! You can't say except for the Giants. The Giants and the Commanders play pretty balls to the wall. What, did you not watch the games last year where both of them were by 2 points?
Okay, we're talking about this season.
They haven't played them yet, so how can you say that? We've played one team in the NFC East,
and y'all still suck.
I'm predicting an overtime game for that Giants Washington.
I mean, okay, so did y'all watch the game at all?
I watched the ending because the Ravens game was basically done with.
That was me. So I caught the ending and I caught the overtime. What's your all's thoughts?
I would say, are we talking about on the game or the ending?
I think, okay, so I feel that, okay, I'm talking about, I guess, the ending because that was a catch.
I don't know.
We have the picture that we can post up,
Well, yeah.
Well, the picture's up now, but I don't know.
His foot was on an arm, which doesn't count as part of the field.
I was gonna say,
it doesn't. Like, if he would have landed on the guy's foot, even
but his toe was in bounds.
No, look, I hate to say this because my hatred's towards the Eagles, but I'm agreeing with Pat. If his arm was not there, yes, that would have been a catch. But the arm pushed up that made his foot go out of bounds. If you look at one angle, his foot's on the line. If you look at a different angle, his foot isn't on the line, but that's because it's not showing the arm push it up.
I'm sorry, I disagree with both of y'all.
The second angle I hate both going
teams,
head on.
I wish both teams would have tied. I really do, because it would have not only helped the Cowboys look better, but I'm saying that was a catch. I don't care what you all say. I mean, okay, fans out here that listen to the Fresh Takes podcast, what do you all think? What do you all feel about that? It was not.
I think that Ron should have went for 2.
That's where I was confused. Why did he not go for 2 when that entire drive the Eagles could not cover anything?
Yep. You got
No,
to
I
go with
agree.
the hot hand, and Robinson probably could have just pounded it out from right there.
I was gonna say, especially because if it's just 2 yards, because that's what a 2-point conversion is. Terry McLaurin was all over that field.
Oh
I would
yeah.
have just gave it to Terry.
Yeah.
So, all right. Any more else from that game? Anything else you guys want to
Um.
cover?
Um. No, I mean the Eagles go to 4-0. Wins are wins.
Boo.
Wins are wins. I mean, if they can chug along and win ugly and physical and close games and judge it out, I'll take it. They can go 17-0 that way. That's fine.
I mean, I'm not going to say. I mean, a win's a win, like you said, and you're going to take the wins no matter what. But when you got, I hate to say it, when the refs are playing dirty these days,
Were the refs really
I,
playing
I
dirty in that game?
I feel 100% that that was a catch, and that the refs had money on that line for the Eagles to win it.
You do realize, though, that when they went to the booth review, that's not the refs then.
It's upstairs refs.
It's not.
It's part.
It's,
They're part. They're part of
it's not
the
upstairs
bench.
refs.
I don't. They're part of the. They have their hand in the.
It's not, though.
Whatever.
Oh my. All right, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go ahead and we'll talk about a little bit of the games, and then if we find a game that's really big, we'll jump into it. But we said about it earlier, Ravens Browns 28-3. I think if Deshaun Watson's in there, it's going to be a lot closer of a game. But apparently Deshaun Watson chose not to play that game. He was medically cleared, but he said that he did not think he was going to be as good as he would be. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think?
I think if he could, I think if he did play, I think the outcome would have been a lot closer. I think the Browns would have put it up more. I mean, Pat is all over the Browns this year, and
Yeah, I'm still big on them. I mean, their defense is still great.
the couple things I
They're
like,
okay.
the couple things I like to talk about that game was I noticed or I saw pop up that the Browns are 32nd in the league and the Ravens are 31st in the league with yards per play. And I think it's only like 2.3 yards a play. I mean, it's very terrible.
Yeah.
But it shows that, that division is still wide open, I feel. Couple things also, Cleveland. I don't know if y'all noticed or known this, but Cleveland since week 1 has turned the ball over at least one time, fumble or interception, in each and every single game this far this year.
Well, they had 3 interceptions that game? 2 interceptions?
2 interceptions, I think it was.
I know they had one at the very end of the game.
Yeah. Also, did y'all see the Elijah Moore? He took off. He took a. I think
where
it
he
was a
ran
jet
backwards
sweep.
20
Yeah,
yards.
20 yards, negative 20 yards, and then the very next play, DTR made a rookie mistake, ran past the line of scrimmage, threw the ball forward, or kind of pitched it, and got a 5-yard penalty on that.
I don't know if that's a rookie mistake. Sometimes it's hard to judge where those lines are at.
I mean,
if only the yellow lines were actually on the field.
Yeah.
Right? But that's all I got to say about that game.
Before we jump into Pat's other team that he thinks is going to steal the AFC North, I want to hear from Pat because I don't think you did, Tank. But Pat, tell us about the Toy Story broadcast.
Yeah, I didn't watch
Yeah.
I saw clips because while I was at my new hiring for my new job, I was getting clips of it, so I didn't see it. But I know you said that it was very laggy.
Well, the first I think they fixed it towards the end. I tuned back in a little bit later, and there were a lot of technical difficulties at first. So, like when the claw would drop the ball to where it was supposed to be, the ball would kind of lag off the screen, but the camera would like follow it. So, like you wouldn't see the play. And then, like, they had to just focus on the commentators for like 10 minutes until they fixed everything. But
I,
it was a cool concept, I think.
I like that they had the Slinky Dog as the marker.
Yep.
Beautiful choice. Beautiful choice by them.
But
I mean, from the clips I saw, I thought it was pretty cool, pretty neat.
I didn't
Yeah.
really get
And
much
then
from that game.
when they had like explosive plays, like they would put like little fire under their feet and stuff. And yeah, it's pretty neat.
I definitely think it's something that they should adventure with trying again.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can see that.
And
But
they
I
were
mean, speaking
explaining
of,
a lot.
go ahead.
Sorry. They were explaining a lot of like rules and stuff for football. Like, so it's definitely oriented towards kids who are getting into it. And
I
like,
say I saw people post a lot that their kids were like glued to the TV because of it. Tank, you should have
yeah,
That's
had
awesome.
Titan watch it.
I couldn't have because I had a date night on Saturday night. So my youngest stayed with my sister-in-law. So at the time, I was going to go pick him up when the game started. So I wasn't home to really let him watch it. But I mean, Jaguars are playing back in London this upcoming week.
Yeah,
So
they're
I
just
mean,
staying there
they
for the week too.
yeah.
and they could just redo, like, kind of revamp it a little bit and redo, I guess, episode 2 of Toy Story.
And
Would y'all think they would do a different kind of theme instead of Toy Story? I mean, you
I
think
think,
that'd be kind of cool, or do you think they need to stick with Toy Story?
yeah, I think they'd venture and really try anything since, I mean, Disney and ESPN are kind of,
Well, I mean, 2 years ago, maybe it was 3 with the COVID season, they did the whole slime time with Patrick and SpongeBob and all that.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, I mean, it's
Football.
something that could adventure with like a bunch of other things.
But speaking of the London, that is a huge advantage to the Jaguars for just being there. Like, let's
Exactly.
not let's not forget that. However, I can't not pick the Bills again.
So you got to think Jacksonville is going to be on a good sleeping schedule for that.
Yeah, like it. I
But
want to pick them, but I
yeah,
can't
I'd
not.
say, but you've gone against Buffalo 4 weeks in a row now, and they're just winning.
Yeah.
Hey, they lost one time. That's why week 1 scared me about them.
But all right, we'll go ahead and we'll jump from the London games. We'll go to Pat's other team that he's expecting to go crazy in the AFC North this year. Pittsburgh losing 6-30 against the Texans. Are the Texans back?
So one thing I want to pipe in on that is, did you know that Houston in the last 10 home games are 0-9-1, and then they came out on this game and are now 1-9-1
Hmm.
in the last 11 now games. But I mean, I'm not saying that Houston's back on top. I'm not saying that they're going to do something, but I will say that they actually look like a team.
How
I
about the
wasn't trying to steal your
fact?
thunder there, Pat.
How about the fact that CJ Stroud has attempted 151 passes and still has yet to be intercepted?
Oh wow, that I did not know.
He is
That's
94 for 151, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions.
For a rookie, that's actually pretty decent.
and 4th in passing yards. Like,
Fourth,
Which
yeah,
you said about them being down like 4 starters on their O line, so I was scared and benched him last second to put Joe Burrow in fantasy, and that was the worst thing I could do.
well,
But your boy's still going to be 4-0 in fantasy.
there you go. See, it all worked out.
Yeah, Joe Burrow 3 points, CJ Stroud on the bench with 22. Speaking of bench, I also benched Nico Collins, who, might I add, had 2 touchdowns, 168 yards on 7 catches.
didn't you bench what's his name? Acne.
Devon A-Chain?
A-Chain. I don't know how you say his name.
Well, hey, they play the Giants next week, so I'm definitely starting A-Chain.
He's
Don't blame him. Do not blame him.
he's too explosive not to start now. Like,
Yeah. I was just thinking that, it's Buffalo. They might be able to stop him a little. No, still puts up 100 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns,
I mean, what? So if we're going to get right into
I
that
would say
game,
since
if
we're
we're
getting
done
into
in
that,
Houston, what's your all's thoughts? What happened to the Miami Dolphins last week? They were explosive and scored 70 points on Denver Broncos, but this week they give up 48 to lose. What, 48-20?
I think
Yeah, it's 48-20.
it was the defense. I think that the
well,
defense was just they were expecting not as much. And like, why wouldn't you play your best corner on Stephon Diggs instead of your third string? Because I mean, you had Diggs 6 catches, 120 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
well, I mean, you
And,
also he did that on 6 catches, so you can't really like.
Well, I mean, one of them was like a 60-yard play, so that's half of his yards right there.
And that was some great tackling.
Yeah, he just
I,
But I mean, they
I mean,
stopped the run unless you count Josh Allen running. But I mean, they had only given up 29 yards to James Cook, 29 to James Cook, 29 to Damian Harris, 32 to Latavius Murray. I don't know why I said Levante. And Allen 17. I mean, they gave up 104 rushing yards, but Raheem Mostert looked real bad that game with only 9 rushing yards after coming off of a 100+ yard rushing game and 4 touchdowns to only have
yeah.
9 rushing yards and 36 yards receiving. I think
Yeah, it was.
I think they definitely studied the game plan where they knew
Well, the
to.
Bills. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
The Bills' defense is kind of like perfect for opposing that offense. Like, they have a good scheme and the right players to get into his paths for throwing. And
I
like,
also think it was the fact that they were in Buffalo.
Oh yeah, that plays a factor. I mean, no matter what, when you go to when you're visiting, a stadium as the visitor, that home team is always, unless you're the Green Bay Packers with Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, it's usually the home crowd is.
Well, I mean, the
You know what I
Browns
mean?
were home and they got destroyed.
True.
that doesn't count.
That
Well,
doesn't
then
count.
another team that was home that got destroyed, Saints 9, Buccaneers 26. Do you think that they should have sat Derek Carr?
Yes.
I agree 100%. There's no need to have put Derek Carr out there.
Yeah.
No, he
Especially
needs to be.
because you knew his shoulder was still hurting, hence the 9 catches out of the backfield to Alvin Kamara.
Helped my other fantasy team.
I just don't get why you would not play Jameis, though.
I think Jameis should have started, and I think I'm not saying Carr is going to be the answer or not answer, and I'm not saying Jameis is going to be the answer or not answer. I just think at this time of the week, kind of thing, knowing what Derek Carr is capable of doing, yes, I think you should have sat him to let him rest. At this moment, they want him to be the starter. They want him to be the franchise kind of thing. But if you're going to put him out there and hurt him, how are you going to put him as the franchise? You're just asking for injuries. You're asking to now have to go out and look for a quarterback.
Maybe they've not liked what they've seen and they're wanting that. So James can come in for good.
I mean, maybe.
The other thing I
Just-
want to mention going on to Pat's fantasy is last week you played Baker Mayfield and he did crap, but this week he puts up 24 points in fantasy and you just drop him.
Well, hey, let Russ cook.
Yeah, if you're playing the Bears, you kind of have to.
Yeah.
I'm using my quarterback position kind of like most people do kickers and defenses. I'm just picking a new one each week.
Yeah, whoever's playing Denver, you might as well pick up the quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
Because Justin
it
Fields put
hasn't-
up like 28 points.
I haven't, yeah.
So
I mean,
I would say, well,
I
let's
was
go
gonna
into
say-
that one. Broncos
Because
31,
that's another
Bears
game I want to talk
28.
about.
The Bears
another-
were up
another game.
21-7 at halftime. to then lose 31-28.
Yeah, so the Bears give up a 21-point lead. This is tied for their longest. This is tied for their largest blown lead in the franchise history. This also is their 14th straight loss dating back to last season. That's kind of sad if this is their tied for your largest blown lead. And also, my question is, do you feel that they should be being now starting to look to pull Fields out?
I don't think that it was Fields. I think that was all defense.
Yeah.
Defense and the OC or whoever is calling the plays. 4th and 1 of about 3 minutes left, and you have it in the red zone. Why do you not just take the points? You know your team is doing bad. Just take the points. We almost had another overtime game. Like, why would you not kick the field goal at the end of that game?
Can't do it.
They knew they were going to hurt my feelings if they did.
I don't understand how you don't see that your team's not doing anything and you don't kick a field goal. But, I mean, Justin Fields looked perfectly good that game. He only had 1 interception, but he had 4 touchdowns and 335 yards. I don't know if Fields is the problem as much as that defense is, which they put so much money into that defense this year.
Yeah.
I think it's working out perfectly. They just ride Fields to the end. Probably still end up with the number 1 overall pick. Carolina's pretty bad. Chicago gets their first round pick. They'll probably have number 1 and 2.
I will have 1 and 2.
Yeah. Do you know how much they can get with that?
Well, and here's the other thing. If you think about it, they got Justin Fields, right? What makes you think that they can't trade Fields and like a first round, a second round, and a third round and get another first round pick and just have 3 first round picks next year?
Yeah.
I say, if they're gonna flunk and get Caleb Williams, you might as well ship Justin Fields out of there and get a decent pick for him.
So you think Caleb Williams would be better than Tyson Bagent?
Well, seeing how I don't even know Tyson or his college playing or anything like that, yes, I think Caleb Williams is projected to be a quarterback that's going to come in and look good.
Yeah.
Tyson went to a college, to Shepherd University, which is about 25-30 minutes from where I live. So he's actually from my hometown. He even went to my alma mater high school, Martinsburg High School. So I kind of have to. I mean, that's the only reason why I'm a Chicago Bears fan slightly right now is because of him coming from my high school and everything. Matter of fact, I'm actually going to try to reach out to him, guys, and see if we can get him on the podcast to talk to him.
Go for it.
But
we'll go ahead. We'll go into actually, one more thing with the Bears and the Broncos game.
I was going to say there's one more thing I want to talk about, but go ahead.
How do you feel about Sean Payton just cutting his sleeves off in the middle of playing?
Yeah.
He just has somebody cut his sleeves off.
Yeah, it was a little.
You couldn't just roll them up.
I don't know.
Harder than he anticipated.
I mean, I thought you would just roll them up, but I mean.
Well, I mean, I don't blame him because last week in PA it was middle of the 60s all week, and then this week it's high 80s all week.
Yeah. Come on.
So he was expecting that it'd be like mid 60s in Chicago.
So
yeah, in Chicago.
Yeah, no, I think it was crazy. But
hot. Yeah.
What's your all's thoughts about Claypool not being at the stadium?
Being asked not. Please don't come to work.
No. According to the Bears, he said he didn't want to come. But then according to somebody on Claypool's team, they were told he needs to stay home.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I saw is that they're looking to trade him, and Philly could be one of the people in talks. Pat, you want Chase Claypool?
As long as he's only in on like goal line packages, sure. He's pretty physical.
I think his morale will take you guys down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if he'd be a fit, but like he comes in there and isn't, he'll learn right away and get cut.
He'll
Like,
get dealt with Swole Batman. All right. Speaking of Swole Batman, how about how the Titans basically destroyed the Bengals like Bane, breaking Batman?
Yeah.
Derrick
I was
Henry just
wondering who
ran
took
all
that
over him.
first.
I had to throw that back to testing Tim's knowledge with Pat.
Oh, you know.
But
My
Titans
yeah.
27, Bengals 3. Derrick Henry
My, oh,
went from
my.
having a 20-yard game to 122 and a passing touchdown.
Yeah, all it took was this Bengals team who, once again, first half of the season looks like guard, but hey, not counting them out yet because we've seen it the past 2 years. But
I just don't
I
think
don't know.
I don't think they're gonna be doing something until Burrow finally gets healthy.
I agree.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
luckily they play the Cardinals next week, but then they got Seattle, Niners, and Buffalo. Like,
I wouldn't say I wouldn't say luckily. I mean, the Cardinals played the Niners and got steamrolled, but Josh Dobbs still had a great
well,
game.
they also kept it close
Like,
for a while.
Yeah.
yeah, like so I could see the Cardinals beating upsetting the Bengals for sure. Like,
And they also could be without T. Higgins, who has a rib fracture. Do you think that they ship him off now? There was talks of T. Higgins not being a big part of the future for this team. Do you think they just ship him away?
Yep.
ship him while he's hurt.
I mean,
Trade.
I'm not saying that it couldn't happen before the trade deadline, but I see him at the end of the season being shipped out.
Something that I could see is if not the Bills, the Bears are very high on keeping Justin Fields. Potentially trading your first round of T. Higgins to the Bears for their first round pick and just hoping that the Bears flunk and you guys can get Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
And then the Bengals would have Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, and Marvin Harrison Jr.
I
But
would look at
I don't think that trade package would go. I think the Bears are kind of like set on having 1 and 2 so far.
oh yeah, but what's your own thoughts about the Chargers game?
Well, we still got 1 o'clock games there, buddy.
What other one o'clock? Oh, we got the Rams
We
Colts
got the
game.
Vikings and the Panthers still. Vikings finally get their first win, beating
It's against the Panthers.
beating the still winless Panthers, who don't have a first round draft pick.
It's a nightmare.
Do you think that Bryce Young is in the wrong system, or is this not on Bryce Young?
I mean, it's a little bit both. I feel.
Yeah. Now that I can talk without coughing to death, that team looks like garb. Um,
I think it's
I
Frank
don't
Wright.
know. It has to be because even last year with the thing and all the interim coaching, like they looked like a team.
Yeah, because what was it? Steve Wilkes was
Yeah.
the interim, and I mean he brought them back.
Everyone in house wanted Steve Wilkes
Say
to stay for that job.
He got rid of Robbie Anderson, which was a problem for the team. He shipped out. Was CMC still there when?
He was already shipped.
Okay. But, I mean, he made Chuba Hubbard look good. He made Foreman look good. I don't see why Steve Wilkes wouldn't get the job. So he then he went to the Niners as their DC, right?
Yeah.
Because he was mad he didn't get the spot. And I mean, look at the Niners defense.
You know, if I had both of those options weighed out, I would probably go with the Niners defense.
Exactly. Especially because you got to look at the stats that comes from being a Niners DC. Saleh and D'Amico Ryans both have become a head coach. So if you put Steve Wilkes there, I'm guaranteeing he'll become a head coach by the end of 2025. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 years probably.
I say either the Raiders or the Bears, he'll be able to take their spot.
Well, he probably could even get it this year, like after this year.
Honestly, they could probably get rid of Frank Wright and he could step in.
Yeah,
Come
I can
back.
see that one.
Come
Honestly,
back.
Frank Wright is not a head coach material.
But let me
Yeah,
ask
I'm
you let
starting
me
to
ask
see
you
it. I
this
don't think so.
before we jump into the final 1 o'clock game. What are your coaches on the chopping block? Like, which coaches do you think aren't even making it to the end of the year?
Oh gosh.
Because I definitely think Eberflus is one.
Yeah, I'd say Eberflus is probably out.
Josh McDaniels also might be one.
Yeah,
Uh,
honestly, a lot of the fans want him out.
I'd say Ron Rivera for
Yeah,
sure.
Ron Rivera is definitely in the hot seat.
No, I don't know if I would put Riverboat Ron up there.
I think so. I think I
I
think the
think he needs.
incoming team wanted to give him a year, but if they don't do well, they're gonna. All
No,
right,
I
you got
agree
to
with
fix
Pat
it.
on that. I agree with Pat 100% on that. I feel Chicago's. I feel Chicago, Carolina, Washington, Las Vegas.
I'd say yeah, Josh McDaniels.
I'm gonna throw one out there. It's not yet, but with how the season could go and how they're looking, I'm thinking that there is a chance that Belichick could go. And I
Yeah,
honestly, I hate to say this, but I think Matt LaFleur could also be one.
that was another one that I was curious about.
I don't think Green Bay.
I I think they'd have to do very bad for it to happen, but
Well,
if they do like 8-9 or so, I think he stays.
I just think
But
because of how they looked against the Lions, their team's not gonna because they're literally not a good team until the fourth quarter.
hey, that's where it counts, baby.
Say, I
Okay.
feel like that team is not good until the fourth. All right, one more 1 o'clock game. The other overtime game, the Rams beating the Colts 29-23.
Y'all said I was stupid for making them seem decent.
Yeah, but you also said that they were going to win against all the AFC North teams, and you already are wrong on that.
Yeah, I know. But
And listen, I was under the impression Matt Stafford was gonna not have an arm. Okay.
I was under the impression that Puka Nakua wouldn't be what he
yeah,
is.
I mean,
I was expecting Matt Stafford to still be bad, Cooper Kupp to miss half the season, and Tutu Atwell and Puka to get like 3 catches a game, and them relying on Tyler Higbee.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I was
So
expecting them to rely on Cam Akers.
yeah.
yeah.
Also, we didn't really know about Kyron Williams sneaking in there too. So
Yeah.
a lot changed. All right, they look like a pretty good team.
Which, I mean, they also have another good running back.
I don't see them. I don't see them
Who's
a
that in there
playoff team, and I
yesterday?
don't see them.
Ronnie Rivers. Ronnie Rivers looks like a decent running back too.
I'm not saying the Rams is a playoff team. I'm not saying they're a Super Bowl team, but I'm saying they're playing a lot better than all three of us probably would have thought they were playing.
Well, Pat
Oh,
gave
for
him
sure.
one win.
Yeah, they already surpassed my expectations. So
I gave them what 4 wins, 5 wins.
I think you and I gave them 4. Actually, I think I might have gave them like 7. I don't know. But I do have a question. I forgot to ask it after the Eagles game, and that's when I said I wanted to bring it up. So I have a question, and it's your opinion, it's whatever you think.
Yes, you stink.
If the Eagles would have tied that game and say that they went on to win the rest of their games, would you still count that as an undefeated season?
Nope.
Why not? They were never defeated.
Because the one game is that they tied is
That
still not a win. It's not a win. It's not a loss.
They didn't. That's what I'm saying.
It doesn't matter.
No,
It's not.
listen. I'm asking, is it an undefeated season? They weren't
No.
defeated.
it's
It
not a
doesn't matter.
perfect season,
Yes.
but it's not
See,
undefeated.
exactly what Pat said. It's not a perfect season, but it is an undefeated season because they weren't defeated.
Okay. So yes, I'll go with that. I'll go with Pat that way.
So in the record books, Miami would still be the perfect season, but you would have to put them in as an undefeated season.
If they went all the way, which
Here, since you're very piss poor on how the Eagles are because you're a Cowboys fan, what if the Cowboys did it? Cowboys go 16-0-1. They tie the Giants. Week 1 they tied, and then they won the rest of the games. Would you count them undefeated?
Why are you going to do this?
See, it's a double standard. If it was the Cowboys, you would have said yes.
No, honestly, no, I really wouldn't. God's honest truth, I wouldn't have. Because that one game is because there's that one game now that it is a tie. It wasn't so. Yeah, they're undefeated because they have zero losses, but they're not the perfect team. So yes, I wouldn't. I even if they were the Cowboys, I still wouldn't have classified it until the way Pat Rourke worded it, the way he said it. So I see that you know what I mean. Yes, they're undefeated, but they're not the perfect team. So.
See, I was just thinking that yesterday while watching the game. I was like, if they tie this but would win the rest, would you still count them as undefeated?
I mean, like I said, at first, no, I wouldn't. But the way Pat worded it, yes.
I think it would still go in that they're undefeated, but yeah, they aren't a perfect team.